Let's talk about allyship. We hear this word all the time in our workplaces, right? But what does it actually mean to be a good ally? Today, we're going to demystify it and move it from just a vague idea to a clear framework for making a real impact, all based on some fascinating new research.
And that really gets to the heart of the matter, doesn't it? Is allyship just the latest corporate buzzword that's here today, gone tomorrow? Or could it be a genuine breakthrough that actually makes our workplaces more equitable? Because here's the reality. Even with all the talk and all the investment, disparities in the workplace are still a huge problem for marginalized individuals. Allyship is supposed to be a solution, but the research points out a major gap. We're not totally clear on which specific actions really truly work. And that's the puzzle we're going to solve today.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll look at that allyship puzzle. Then I'll introduce you to a brand new framework that really clarifies things. We're going to explore its two paths. They're called mitigation and signaling, figure out which one packs a bigger punch, and then wrap it all up with a simple roadmap you can actually use. Let's do this.
So to crack this puzzle, researchers have come up with something called the mitigation signaling model. And honestly, it's a total game changer, because it finally gives us a clear, simple way to understand how allyship really functions.
So what is it? Well, at its core, it's just a way of organizing all the different things an ally can do into two main paths. The whole point is to explain how those actions affect someone's actual outcomes at work. It brings some much-needed structure to what can feel like a really fuzzy topic.
And those two paths, they're actually super straightforward. You've got the mitigation path, which is all about actions that physically remove barriers, and then you have the signaling path, which is about actions that send messages of support. So removing versus sending. Let's dive into that first one, mitigation.
All right, path one, mitigation. Think of this path as all about tangible action. It's about actively getting in there and removing the roadblocks that create disadvantages in the first place.
Okay, the first type of mitigation is something the researchers call confrontation. This is pretty much what it sounds like, speaking up, either with words or even just actions, to show that a discriminatory act is not okay. It's about challenging that kind of thing directly, right when you see it happen.
And you know, this doesn't have to be some huge dramatic showdown. It can be as simple and direct as saying, seriously, that's offensive. I'm not okay with you saying that. It's clear, it's to the point, and it immediately sets a new standard.
Now, the second type of mitigation is advocacy. So if confrontation is about calling out an individual's behavior, advocacy is about tackling the entire system. This is where you work to change the actual company policies or procedures that are putting some groups at a disadvantage.
So what does that look like in the real world? Well, advocating could be anything from petitioning your leadership for more trans-inclusive policies to challenging a company rule that you realize is discriminatory. It's about fixing the structure itself.
The third mitigation behavior is what's called instrumental support. And the key idea here is that it's about giving people resources that they might not have equal access to. Things like getting them into the right networks, sharing crucial information, or creating opportunities for mentorship.
A perfect, really powerful example of this is sponsorship. When someone says an ally vouch for my abilities in front of others, that's instrumental support in action. They're using their own social capital to open a door for somebody else.
Okay, so that's the whole mitigation path. It's all about removing tangible barriers. Now let's flip the coin and look at path two, the signaling path. This one is all about sending powerful messages of support.
The big one in the signaling path is emotional support. This is about empathy, It's about showing understanding and validating someone's experience, especially in relation to their identity. There's this really simple human example from the research that just brings it to life. Someone remembered an ally who compassionately listened to my experiences as a mother. That's it. It's about that genuine connection and validation.
So when an ally acts, it's not just the action itself, it's what that action signals. The model says these signals basically fall into three buckets. A signal of social value that says, you belong here. A signal of safety that says, this is a safe place for you. And a signal of competence, confirming your skills are valued and respected here.
Okay, so we've got these two very different paths, right? One removes physical structural barriers, and the other sends these crucial emotional signals. So the big question is, does one of them matter more? The researchers looked at this directly.
Let's just put them side by side for a second. You have the mitigation path on one side, which is about literally removing barriers and fixing the system. And on the other, you have the signaling path, which is about sending messages to meet those psychological and emotional needs. So, which one is more effective?
And here it is. This is the big takeaway. The research is pretty clear that while both paths are definitely valuable, the mitigation path, the one that's focused on removing barriers, tends to have more significant and longer-lasting effects on people's work outcomes. Signaling is so important for well-being, for sure, but mitigation is what can actually change the underlying problems.
So, now that we have this awesome, clear model, how do we actually turn it into action? Let's build ourselves a simple little roadmap for allyship.
When you boil it all down, we're left with these 4 key behaviors. You've got confrontation, advocacy, and instrumental support, and then you have emotional support. And what's so fascinating is that 3 of these 4, the ones that tend to have the biggest, most lasting impact, they all fall under that mitigation path.
So really, it all comes down to 2 fundamental choices. Every single action you take as an ally is ultimately doing one of 2 things. It's either removing a barrier or it's sending a signal.
So the question I want to leave you with is a really practical one. Using this framework, just take a look at your own work environment this week and ask yourself, what's one roadblock I can help remove and what's one signal I can send?